This is made by Gloria Lee.
I'd like to apologize for leaving the top of my computer in the frame. Please enjoy the video.
This is episode 2. I wanted to record this episode October 9th. That's when I put scheduled record. And it is now December 2nd. So I feel like if I put it off until, when the stars align or the next full moon or whatever it is, my excuse is going to be it's just going to keep getting delayed. This is episode 2. Welcome. If you have not watched episode 1, go back and watch episode 1, please. And at the end of this video, if you like what I'm talking about, you're interested in my knitting journey, the things I'm going to knit, and what I talk about, please feel free to like and subscribe. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are my finished objects. And this is I'm going to do like the standard knitting podcast structure. So I'm going to do finished objects, works in progress, and then I don't really like the word acquisitions. It's just too many syllables, and finished objects is like simple words, like elementary word, middle school word, works in progress. That's also pretty middle school. So I don't understand why we need to say acquisitions. It's just stuff we got, right? So I think I'm just gonna call it what I've gathered. I don't know. So the first thing that I finished that was a work in progress are my Cloudburst fingerless mitts by Arienne Gray. And I also do want to say that I incorrectly said Adrienne Gray last episode. Let me get them. So here they are. So they have this really lovely lace motif here. And the pattern, Cloudburst, does not follow this. This I got from This Handmade Life. Just watch episode 1. I go into that, and I had one done. Now I have my second one done. One thing that you may or may not notice is that there's actually quite a difference in size. And I think I really have no idea, but if you can see how long this one is, and this one seems to be shorter. I'm not really sure because I checked my notes and I don't think I went down a size for the ribbing. But my first fingerless mitt, which is for my right hand, just happened to be tighter and smaller. So this one fits my hand really well. And then I have my watch on, so it's not going to be... So I think it looks fine, but yeah. So my thoughts about this, first of all, I don't really know how I feel about linen quill, just because you can probably hear in my voice now I'm like a little agitated, like I have allergies or something. So because of that, when I'm knitting, there's like little bits everywhere. And so when I was doing my half and half triangles wrap, I didn't really mention this in my episode 1, but I wore a mask, like a N95 mask for a lot of it, because I noticed that I was getting really just like bothered and couldn't really breathe very well. So that's my first thought. My second thought is I have a problem with, I would say, a lot of socks, gloves, fingerless mitts where I'll end up pushing up and then it like ends up getting looser. So when I took these out walking once on like a pretty cool day, and I don't know how functional fingerless mitts really are, because if it's cold enough for you to want to wear them, it's probably too cold for your fingers as well. So that was another issue where as I was walking, like it was keeping me a little bit warm, but then like the air is still coming in. So I don't really know how practical they are. Very beautiful. I want to take some photos. I got a new camera, and so I'm using that to talk to you. So I want to try this out and take some photos for my Instagram, or I don't know, thumbnail maybe. So I'm happy with them. I'm happy that I have done fingerless mitts. Like learning how to do like the thumb gusset was a good learning experience. But yeah, So because I'm not too pleased with fingerless mitts in general, but this one fit well, I actually think I'm going to, I have this one that I did that was also on episode 1. And I think it's just, I like that the knit is a lot tighter, and I don't know. I have a cousin and her husband who was like saying that it was like the bad guys in Home Alone, which I guess is fitting for Christmas, but it's weird because it's almost like too short. It's kind of like a skirt that's like at the hitting the wrong spot on your leg, that it's just like business skirt and then a little too high. It's just like a little inappropriate, and I think it's because I can see. I don't know. Is that weird? I feel like this just is not. I don't know that I will wear it, and I don't know who will wear it because it is quite small, and have pretty small hands for most people compared to other people that I know. So if it's already tight on me and too short for me, I can't imagine, unless it's for a kid. But right now I think I'm gonna frog this. I have not decided. Okay, so let's see. My next completed object I do not have is the wedding necktie by Susan B. Anderson. My brother wore that. If you follow me on Instagram, or if you have seen my Instagram, or if you want to see this necktie, I mean, I'll put it up here, but it's also on Instagram. I did it in knitting. Sorry, I think I need to be more clear. Linen quill, wheat flour, 3mm needles. Knitting for olive, merino, licorice, using 2.75mm needles. So that's why. But I like the fabric that I made. I feel like I want to, I really like the fabric that I made. It's very machine knitty. Okay, the wedding necktie, Susan B. Anderson. This was in seed stitch, so purl, knit, and then the next row it's like alternating, so you're kind of like checkering your knits and your purls. And it creates like a really nice fabric. I don't have too much to say about that. I was pleased with it. When I knitted again, it was a bit of a slog because there wasn't too much interest, and maybe because I wasn't going to be wearing it. I don't know. But I'm happy to have made it, and to have made a necktie, and to have cemented another part of my creativity and what I made into my sister's wedding. So making sure, that it was known that I was involved in her wedding. I'm just kidding. But I also did make her wedding dress. That's why I'm saying that. The next thing that I completed was the sweater Leontis by Pascuali Designs, knitting, and I knitted up in Knitting for Olive Merino in pearl gray. Size medium, using 3.25mm needles. My gauge was off. I think I ended up knitting. This was another thing that I learned about gauge swatching. I thought that when you pin it down on your blocking mat, you stretch it out and then you measure it while it's pinned. And now I'm like, oh, you pinned it down so it wouldn't curl up, but then when you measure it, I guess you should release it because you're not wearing something that is constantly pinned. And so I think because of that, I was off by 4 stitches. I think something like that, or maybe 2 stitches. I think the gauge called for 26 by, I'm not even going to say the row gauge because I definitely don't remember it, but it's 26, and I think I ended up with 28. So I was off by 2 out of 26. So like, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 8% off. So because of that, this was a size medium, which was going to give a lot of positive ease, but it ended up giving just barely positive ease. So it was fine for him. And I did film a progress video. This is my previous video of making the sweater. I was going to do a pattern review, but I think I'll just talk a little bit about it now because it's just overkill to have a progress video, pattern video, and then talk about it in this episode. So I'm just going to talk about it here. But I did have an issue with the collar, and this is another thing I'll talk about at the very end of this video for the next thing that I want to make. But I had an issue with the collar, and when I blocked it, it became a lot better for him. So the pictures will be here. But I'm pleased. It's very soft. I really like Knitting for Olive. I think I will continue purchasing Knitting for Olive just because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with scraps, and I think that I don't want to mix fibers too much. So if there was like a standard yarn that I use for the majority of the time, then if I do a scrappy project, and then there's also that like decision fatigue. If I decide that I'm just going to use Knitting for Olive wool, I mean, yes, I will be purchasing other yarns. Then it kind of creates a standard so that all my yarns are like this fingering weight wool, and so I'm not mixing the fibers and the frequencies of the fibers too much. My next finished object is the Franky Sweater by Sandnes Design. I did the smallest size extra small to small, because it provides a lot of positive ease. And then I used Knitting for Olive, as I said again, merino and pearl gray held double. And that's what I'm wearing right now. Let me just back up a little bit to show you. So it has like a very deep yoke, which I quite like. Really, really beautiful. I'm very happy with it. This was like, I don't think I could have asked for a better first sweater for myself. So I'm very pleased with this. Stockinette, I use 5mm needles, ribbing 4.5mm needles. So I think I sized up in both needles to meet gauge, which is about 18 or 19 stitches for 10 centimeters or 4 inches, because I do knit a little bit tight. For ribbing, I actually was going to go down a full millimeter and use 4mm needles, but then it was feeling pretty tight on my needles. So I moved up after I did maybe like 4 or 5 rows, and then I was like, this is too tight, I'm just going to move up. But I don't think you can even tell. Yeah. And so if you're paying attention, the sweater I knit for my husband and this sweater is, I'm using the same yarn. So it was kind of our matching Christmas sweaters, but it is quite basic and neutral. So it's not like overtly matchy. But yesterday we went to JCPenney and we took Christmas photos together. So it was kind of funny. I didn't tell them or anything that I made both of our sweaters. And it was an interesting experience. I would definitely go again. I've never had photos taken at JCPenney. So for some reason I thought that taking the photos was free and that you only have to pay for like if you order anything. So it's like a very low risk. But there is, it's not very much, but I was like surprised that you had to pay for that at all. Anyway, so in 2 weeks we'll be getting our Christmas photos, and I'm excited to see how they turn out. I mean, we did choose them, but I think the resolution on the computer was not as good as I would have wanted. Yeah, but I'm very happy with this Franky Sweater, and I'll be talking about it at the end of this video when I get into like more plans-y type things. So let me go into my works in progress. I will get them. So the first work in progress I have are the Winter Birch socks by Lindsey Fowler. This is what I have so far. So color work, I'm using a I don't even know that I know what yarn this is. I'm just looking at my receipt from my local yarn store that they emailed. So I got the red is the Periwinkle Sheep watercolors Audrey Hepburn, and then the green is the Periwinkle Sheep watercolors Bohemian Forest. And so it looks very Christmassy because this is a Christmas sock. I've decided. The pattern is not a Christmas sock. But I chose Christmas colors because I thought it would be cool to wear Christmas socks, maybe go into work with like show the sock and be festive. I don't really have a Christmas sweater or anything. So the reason I was looking for color work patterns, and I thought it was about time that I do something color work, and I know there's no I'm not on like a schedule to like, okay, I have to do a cable knit sweater. Now I have to do a cardigan. Now I have to do like, but I would say that I do want to learn more techniques and get better and better at knitting. So I was seeking out colorwork socks because I don't know that I wanted to commit to a complete colorwork sweater. And from like what I've watched of other people, other knitters on YouTube, like Florence, she also talked about like, oh, she likes to do all these complicated things, but whenever she goes to her closet and what she chooses to wear ends up being like something basic, you know, like this, something plain. And so that kind of got me thinking like, I'm probably going to be similar. So even if I do want to knit something like super kooky or quirky or cute or funny, will I wear it? I don't know. Or like the occasions to wear it, it's like not a staple piece. And I would say that I'm not really looking to have pieces that are not staples. I think I do want to tend toward a more minimalistic wardrobe, and so having like something that's like super fun, like super like movie themed or book themed, or you know, for one specific event, like one specific party, it's not something that I think that it, you know, never say never, but it's not something that I would say I'm aligned to right now. So anyway, all that to say, a Christmas sock seemed like a good color work project. And when did I start this? Like last week? I started this before Thanksgiving, and it has been quite a headache because it's quite stressful for me right now, knitting color work, because they say that like however loose you think your floats are, even looser. So because of that, I did also size up. I was using 2.25 needles, millimeter needles, and I sized up to 2.5 for this part of it because I put it on and I don't even know if I could get it over my foot. And so I was trying it on along the way. And so now with 2.5 and like really like stretching out as I'm knitting, now it's working. But yeah, so it was a little bit stressful. I like how it's turning out. Yeah, I guess I just don't know how loose or how tight it's supposed to be, and like, is it okay that color work becomes less stretchy than like it would otherwise if it was like pure stockinette? I think that is what is expected because this top part was in 2.75 and then the bottom part was supposed to be in 2.25. So because of that, I think that no doubt there will be some stretchiness lost. I don't know. It's my first colorwork project, and it's been taking so long, and so now my goal is just like one round a day, like do it one round at a time, and then I'll have my first sock done. Like I'm not even done with the first sock, and I have second sock syndrome already. If you have advice on the cure or any remediation, please let me know. All right, now yeah, first color work, tightness. Okay, my second work in progress is a poncho for my sister. Sorry for that clicking. I can't. It's just gonna be like that. So I don't have I started this yesterday, I think. Yeah, I think I started this yesterday. I think I watched it the day before yesterday, and then I started it yesterday. So this is using Hometown yarn. This is Line Brand. My sister had bought this yarn. So this is acrylic, like 95% acrylic and 5% rayon, something like that. Don't hold me to that. But she wanted a poncho, kind of like the Emperor's New Groove type of poncho, and that's actually quite hard to find on Ravelry. So like went to the poncho category, looked through the list of like the top one all the way to like however long that list goes. I think it's 100. And I could not find a poncho pattern that would fit what I was looking for. Like, and also this yarn calls for 9mm needles. So that was another restriction on like the types of patterns. So the best I can do is I like drew inspiration from like all the ones that I looked, but I would say I am referencing one pattern that is free. There's a little piece. And I don't know how much I'm referencing it. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I gotta blow my nose. Okay, so for the ribbing, I'm going to use 8mm needles, and then for the body, which is stockinette, I'm going to use 9mm needles. So my idea is just to have like a V and then increase, and then at the end I haven't decided what I'm going to do. If I'm going to do ribbing or garter or yeah. So I'm still figuring out, but it's just going to be a V-neck with like a V-neck ribbing, and I will post a YouTube video that teaches you how to do a V-neck, so then you don't have to, like, I was like, do I need to buy a pattern? Because I've never done a V-neck, so if it's already obvious to you, then ignore that. But I did watch a video recently. I just can't remember the channel name. So it's basically freehand, like self-drafted. That's what I'm going to do for the poncho, and I hope it turns out. It'll be very warm. And then now I will do what I've gathered. So I got a yarn winder from Amazon. It was because the t-shirt that I wore in episode 1, that is the cropped western tee by Weecher Design. Ooh, I actually decided to frog it. And so I dyed it after knitting it, and then I frogged it, and so you can still see white. I guess just where it was knit too. It was just, the dye just didn't come in, so now it is like really cool heathered gray. And also, if you kind of like look, it's a very cool black, so I can see purple. But I have got, I don't know how many, I think it's 200 grams. It's about 200 grams of tinline that I'm going to repurpose for something. And a lot of like little specks and pieces came, and I ended up frogging it and winding it. And I was like, that was not something that I expected, that so much fiber would, you know, come out. So that was also annoying. I got the Chiagu 9mm needles for my set. So I had the interchangeable set, but I only bought the needles for the small size because I was like, when am I ever going to use like the 8mm, 9, 6, and I have now had to purchase like all of them, which is fine. It's fun. I got bulb markers, and then I actually, in the mail today, got yarn. So I have one sweater quantity of yarn, and then I'll go get it in a little bit. But I have some of this Knitting for Olive Nature. Focus. Nice. So it's this beautiful color, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit. So, but let me get the Sandnes. Oh, it's right here. This is the pattern. Okay. This is the pattern. This is the book where I got the pattern for the Franky sweater, and that's actually what she's wearing. So all the pictures, at least, I think are fairly public and like on their site. So I'm not revealing anything that is. So this is almost exactly what I'm wearing. Nice. Yeah, but also I forgot to say I held this double. That's why I was able to, that's why it's worsted. So this is a book. I actually really like a lot of the patterns in here, so I think one day we'll make the Lou, is it the Lou sweater? Yeah, I think it's a Lou sweater. It's similar to the Louvre sweater by Petite Knit, and that's why I'm getting the names confused. But yeah, the Lou sweater. Let me just show that. And another knitting YouTuber, Anna Passi Trevino, APT Atelier, I think she's going through the whole book. It seems like everything that she has been knitting everything from this book. So maybe she's going to do a roundup of like, I don't know. But it's a good book. And I know there are a lot of good other Sandnes Garn books, but I had ordered this book from the UK because it's very difficult to get your hands on, even if you can get them in the US. I actually think the only place in the US you can get them is Mother Knitter. I could be wrong. Did I talk about this already in my progress video? No. And then, so I got this. I got 9 balls of this, which I think will be enough. And then let me get what I just got and we'll open it. So I ordered this yarn from the Netherlands. I don't know. I think it was like a Sunday morning. So one of my big plans is I really would like to knit like basics. So I want to make a base layer for like a sweater like this where like you're wearing wool, but I think you kind of want to have something underneath. And I think what a lot of people do is, you know, they'll buy like a really thin polyester or cotton like long sleeve that's like more skin tight, and then they'll wear like this on top. Or some people just wear the sweater, I think. But I would say like to keep it clean and like extra warm, then I think having a base layer is good. But then it's like, what's the point of knitting your own like outside sweater? I feel like it's even more wholesome or creative. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I really do want to make a base layer. So I bought the thinnest cotton yarn that Sandnes Garden offers, which is the Mandarin Petite, and I think it's 180 meters for 50 grams, which is, I don't know that it's fingering. It might be fingering weight, but it doesn't feel it. And so the fabric that it created, I don't know if you can see, it's back there. But then I did the gauge swatch, and on that day I was like spending time with family. And then so when I was done with the gauge swatch, I was like, okay, all done. And then I put the needles away and I totally forgot what needle size I used to do the gauge swatch. So there's not even a point. So then I'm like, do I even want to redo the gauge swatch? But the fabric ended up like way thicker than, it would be really heavy to have a like that cotton base layer and then like a sweater like this on top, even though the sweater is quite oversized. So what I ended up doing was purchasing yarn from the Netherlands Hobby Giant, because I went on Ravelry, all over Ravelry, to find the thinnest 100% cotton yarn I could. And a lot of it is, I think there was one, I can't remember the yarn company, but it's a well-known yarn company, and there was this like yarn that, was it Rowan? But it was discontinued. And so then I'd find another one and it would be like for machine knitting, or there'd be another one and like you can't buy it anywhere. So this one, like I didn't think you could buy it anywhere. I found one site that you could buy it and shipping was like $45. So each one of these is like $4 and then shipping is $45. And I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like I have a friend who lives in Austria and shipping is only like $13 there. So I was like, should I ask her to get it and then ship it to me? Will that save me any money? But then I went to like the second link, another link, and I was able to find this one. So I got this from Hobby Gigant, Gigant, and this is from the Netherlands. And I got, this is durable. This is not in English, so I'm like trying to, but it is a crew number 12. So it's like this cream nude color cotton. I'll come up a little bit. So I got 5 of them. So number 12, I think, is like the, how thin it is. And yeah, it's how thin it is, because I think like number 10 or number 8, it's a little bit thicker. So this is fingering weight, 100% cotton. And it's like, creamy colored, and that's even better for me because if I have anything white, I'm gonna stain it. So this is like already pre-stained. So I'll just hold it up so you can see. So really, I mean, it's cotton yarn, so it's not gonna have the same like fabric that like a fingering weight of wool will have, but I think this will be good for a base layer, for a long sleeve. And then I have to find the pattern for that. So I have something in mind that I saw in Ravelry, but so for 100 grams, it's 485 meters, which means for 50 grams, that is 242 and a half, which is even more than like merino fingering weight, knitting for olive merino. So this is kind of crazy because this is 100 grams and this is 50 grams. So I'm excited. And then the other thing is I don't know how it's gonna come out because like wool is like the tiniest bit itchy for me, or like a little bit, like my skin is very sensitive. And so cotton is just like, if I wear polyester anything to go to sleep, I will like be agitated and I'll like my body will feel inflamed. So I always wear 100% cotton t-shirts. Sometimes I can, even on top, if it's cold, I can put like polyester on top, but even then sometimes my skin is too irritated. My question about this is when I knit it, because the stitches are gonna be so much bigger than like a machine knit t-shirt, will it even protect me, or will I feel the wool from, I don't know. So I'm very excited about this. Let's see, what else? Okay, so now I'm gonna go into the long discussion. Not like this video hasn't been long enough, but so my plan now, which is why I have this knitting for olive, it feels so soft, is because right now what I'm planning to do after I finish this sock and then the poncho is my main project, I think, is going to be another sweater for myself. And I think I'll have plenty of time for like early winter next year, like January. But I think I want to do another Franky sweater. I'm very happy with this. There are a few things that I am not happy with. Maybe one thing. No, there's one thing I'm not happy with, and then a few things that like I feel like I could improve. So if you've been watching this whole video, you can see that I have been pulling the front of my shirt down constantly. And I think that is, and the way that this is constructed is like a raglan top-down sweater, so the back is already higher, but I think there still is not enough fabric in the back, and I think this is for multiple reasons. Number one, I thought someone knocked on the door. I have a not very big, but I have a relatively big neck. So, this is another interesting thing. So I feel like there are a lot of like ratios with your body. Like if you go tip to tip, like fingertip to fingertip, it'll be your height. And then like, I could be wrong. I think my brother-in-law said this was not true whenever I was like, and also this, but I think from like the crease of your elbow to like maybe your wrist is your foot. And so there are all these like ratios, and they say when you go shopping, if you go to like the mall or like wherever you're going to get pants, if you take the pants, hold the pants up, so like one side, the other side, put it around your neck. If it fits around your neck, it'll fit around your waist. So that's like another ratio, that your waist circumference is 1/2 your neck circumference. I don't know if that's true, but I do have for my height, I do have a larger waist, and so I think I do have a larger neck. So I am like a little like irritated, not irritated, but it seems like the sweater is doing that. So then I feel like all this weight choking me, and I think that's the most annoying thing, that like other than that, like I could wear this sweater to like go farm or like garden if I were someone who did either of those things. So that's like my biggest gripe with the Franky sweater. but I don't know that it's an issue with the pattern. I think it's just like a body, like a quality of my body that my neck is big. I also think that the way certain people's bodies are shaped, like your back is like this and your front is like maybe like this. So maybe some people's backs don't take up that much surface area. Maybe they're like that, or maybe their fronts, like maybe they're bigger busted, or I don't know. All that to say, I think I need to add short rows myself. And I've been like trying to figure out where exactly I want to do it. Like, do I want to like somewhere in the back, like here, or like I'm still figuring that out. See, I'm doing this again, but that's my biggest issue. I know with my cropped Western tee that the back opening, like it was like a boat neck. It was a very wide neck, and it still was doing this. So I think it's not an issue with enough space in the neck. That's what I thought it was before. I was like, you just need to make the neck deeper, like a V-neck, but I think the fact is that it will tend to go up. So if you have a V-neck, it'll still go up, so it'll mask what it's doing, but that the fit is still not going to be right whether I lower this neck. So I think there was an article that I read where it's like, when I start doing the raglan increases, to do my short rows here, so like go back and stop and turn around. I know I'm not explaining that right, but that'll make it so that there's actually going to remove. So if you start here and increase, that means it'll remove like this much fabric from your front. So short rows add fabric to the back, but instead this recommends like following the back to pattern and removing rows from your front. And I think that's a good idea. So I think I'm gonna do that. Number 2. Well, maybe not number 2. This is not an issue I have, but there's like some kind of shrinkage going on. Like when I first like put this on before blocking, like I would hold it out and it was like all the way to like my thumb, and that was like where I said I was going to knit. Like that's a good like sleeve. And for some reason, as the day goes on, there's like some like springiness that like it's like creeping up. So I think I could afford to add like an inch and a half to the sleeves, and as well to the bottom. I think I could add even like 2 inches to the whole thing. I like the cropped look, but it's just a little too, it's not even a crop. It is kind of cropped, but it's not like it's showing my belly or anything, but I think it could be a little longer, just like to be more versatile. So that's what I will do if I'm going to reknit the sweater, is add short rows to the back, or not add short rows, take away rows from the front, lengthen the sleeves, lengthen the body, and the last thing that I would do is I like this look of long ribbing, of like a lot of ribbing, but like I would say like a normal sweater, it could be like when I did my husband's, I think just like this much, and it's like 5 times more than that. So I think I could still achieve like the elegant look of a lot of ribbing with even half, and that would be really nice on my left wrist to do this twisted rib. Is it half twisted rib or is it twisted rib if you're only twisting the pearls? So yeah. So those would be the modifications I would make. And then I think, yeah, and same for the body. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about, so if you see it kind of like goes in a little bit, and a lot of the photos, and this is blocked, and I have worn this like, I don't know, a lot. And so I thought it would stretch out more. So then I don't know if for the ribbing, I'm just going to continue on in the 5mm needle, because I don't know that I like that it's like sucking, it's like going in. Like if I go like that, it's not noticeable. It's not noticeable. But yeah, I don't know that I like that it goes in. I want it to be like straight, like a square rectangle. So if I do all those things, I think I will have achieved maybe the perfect sweater pattern. I know, 3 sweaters in and she thinks she got the right pattern. But I really do love the Franky sweater. I recommend it to anyone who wants to knit like their own sweater, I feel like it's just, yeah, maybe I need to knit more sweaters because I'm sure there are a lot of other sweaters out there, but after like starting to do the cumulus tee, doing the cropped western tee, I just feel like there is probably a sweater pattern out there for everyone but I don't know how easy that is to find. But I hope you enjoyed talking with me, listening to me, and maybe are interested in the Franky sweater. I highly recommend it. But I'll catch you guys next time.